Hello, Sagittarius. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. I'm really enjoying the energy today. First of all, it is Friday as I'm reading this live. We have gotten through the Mercury retrograde. We have a new moon upon us, and I feel an energetic shift. I hope you do too. It's such an auspicious day to be able to do a reading with you, and thank you for being with me this Friday. My name is Nicholas. Apollo's in the background. I was going to pull him up here to say hi, but he's so sweetly kind of like relaxed back there. I have a different camera that I might put in the background. I just thought of this. It might be nice. Then I don't have to disturb him, and we could have a little Apollo cam that I could pull up. So maybe I'll do that because I have a backup camera, and I thought, that way he can enjoy, and we can occasionally take a look at Apollo. So we'll see. Maybe I can technically get that to work. In the meantime, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This is for the sign of a Sagittarius, and you can use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus, any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. And we'll go a little deeper into Sun, Rising, and Moon energy towards the latter part of this reading. I always like to begin with channeled messages, and the octopus came through today. So we'll be looking at that animal totem to see how it can help you out over the next few weeks here. And then we'll get into the Celtic Cross, where basically whatever spirit wants to say, it'll come through. And then I will drill into specific areas that I know all of us care about, which include health, wealth, love, and destiny. If you are watching this live today, go ahead and take a look at the poll. I've listed a few decks that you can vote on. You can see all of those on my website if you need to kind of look at some of the images, and I'll try to show you briefly before we get into the Celtic Cross in a couple of minutes. If you enjoy anything that you see here and would like to be reminded of future videos, first of all, thank you for anybody that's already liked and subscribed. But if you haven't, subscribing is free. There's no obligation. You can stick around as long as you'd like. Liking is free. You can do that once per video. And then there's a bell icon right underneath where you can choose what kind of updates you'd like to receive and how often. So please do that so you don't miss out. I have a very predictable schedule, which is Monday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. But the timing, I'm flexible with myself this year. I'm giving myself that option. So it'll either be 9 or 10 in those zones. So to make sure that you can see it, click the bell icon. You can also follow me across social media where I'll remind you of anything that I've done and anything that might be upcoming. Remember, if you do follow me, it's always my first and last name. And basically, if anybody tries to reach out, offer a product or service, or it looks suspicious, it's probably not me. You can always go to my website for more information and make sure that you're seeing the real me. You can also go to the About tab here on my official YouTube profile. If you'd like to give back in the way of super stickers, super chat, or become a member, please do that. It's a great way to support the channel. And let's see, we have a new moon coming up. I'll probably do something special for the new moon. I also do Q&As, and the Q&As are where I open it up to members and Patreon supporters. So that's a way for me to give back. Okay, folks, we got a lot to talk about today. So let's delve into channeled messages. It's been a while since I've worked with this particular totem, and today it was fun because every time I get to do research, I learn more about this beautiful planet and all the creatures on the planet, and the octopus is no exception there. So give me just a second here to take a quick drink, and we're going to talk about the octopus. All right, so this is a wonderful sort of energy for multitasking. I think sometimes we all wish we could have multiple arms to be able to do everything. So some of you might just have a lot on your plate, and that's why this particular totem found its way to me today. So to quote a line from the original trilogy of Star Wars, Searching Your Feelings, it really makes sense when we apply it to this particular totem because it has a very unique neural network. Not only does it have a brain that's kind of unusually created, it's like a donut shape, but it also has this neural network that spans all of its arms. It's kind of like a science fiction creature. So it has blue blood, which we'll talk about later, 3 hearts that have unique roles, and this neural network that spans all of its many arms, which basically gives it the chance to not have to think of, here's a way to think about it in technology terms. It's like a multi-core processor. So, you know, we're getting computers now that don't just have one chip, but they have like multiple chips in the space of one chip. So all these different processors can focus on different things, kind of the same way. I'm sure there's some marine biologists out there yelling at me, but I'm trying to kind of make it something that we can all understand. It's kind of like that. So the main brain can focus on some things, and then it's a very specialized animal. I think we would agree with this, because the hearts focus on different things and the different brains focus on different things. So rather than just multitasking, it's really saying, why don't we tune into our different senses, which we do have as human beings? The clairs, clairaudience, clairsentience, clairaudience, there's a bunch of things. So focusing on your sixth sense, we kind of group them all into that. Focusing also on what's going on in the environment, and then data as well. Taking in all these different inputs so that you don't have to put all the pressure on yourself. There's a lot of different things that are coming in to support you, and there's a lot of different ways to figure out a task at hand. And then literally, because we were kind of thinking about the brain is in the sort of arms so they can feel out a situation, how do you feel about it? I remember as a kid loving Star Wars and not really knowing why. I mean, it was a really cool thing in the 70s and 80s, but it was ahead of its time in many ways with the psychic pieces of it, because when you think about it, there was telekinesis, right? Yoda and the Jedi could manipulate objects with their mind. There was clairvoyance and telepathy. Luke and Leia had a telepathic link and they could talk to each other. So did Luke and Vader. And then there was also clairsentience and all the different clairs, because they could feel the presence of danger or darkness or light. And so it's also kind of, that's really what Search Your Feelings is about. What's your take on this? You can, a lot of times when you step into a room, you know if there's been an argument, you know if people have been laughing, you know if you're interrupting something intimate. So search your feelings as you're moving into situations. It's not just about this, it's about everything in our sort of subtle body as well. Okay, so who knew the octopus could bring all of that to the forefront, but it did. All right, so we have this diva, D-E-V-A sort of illustration here from the True Heart Intuitive where she has the multiple arms, so I thought about this. Also nicely connected to the one card pull for today, which was the Queen of Wands, so you can listen to that, it's on my shorts page. Wouldn't it be nice if we did have multiple arms so that I could be typing over here, writing over here, lifting up the cards, focusing the camera, it would be great. But we don't. So what we have to do instead is to channel the Queen of Wands energy, which makes a decision on those three levels. She decides, what am I going to do? What would I like you to do? What's not worth my time or energy? And maybe what questions do I have about something that I should be thinking about tomorrow? She's able to think on the different levels, but she doesn't have to do it all. That's the cool thing. She either releases, delegates, or focuses on something. And oftentimes, too, she can inspire other people. So probably one of my favorite cards, and I never get tired of talking about the different things that she could do. So all I need is a different illustration, and you can see some more magic in the Queen of Wands. So your power today comes in the higher level thinking, not necessarily in getting in the weeds of all the little stuff. She's a good delegator. She's a good boss. She's good at oversight. So not only did the 1 minute, one card pull connect to you, and it's fire, so it makes sense, but this particular totem with all the different arms and this particular illustration is also reinforcing the daily card pull, okay? It's not accidental. Usually whatever sign I'm reading for, there's some relation to the one card pull for that day. I put in the title here, Delegate and Elevate. The elevation is the elevation of thoughts, also the elevation of leadership. Sometimes we have to lead by example. We may have a parent or a boss or a mentor that just doesn't know how to lead. You might be working with someone, frustratingly enough, that's in a decision-making role. It could be anybody from someone at the bank to someone in your apartment building to, just someone at the grocery store, and there's a solution in front of them. There's something that could be done, but your job is not to tell them what to do, but maybe show through your own example that there's an easier way. There's an easier way to avoid an argument, to get a task done, etc. You lead by example, you see if they pick up on it, and if they don't, it's not our job to control them. The Queen of Wands knows when and how and if she's going to be the boss. Sometimes you have to just let it go, okay? All right, this is the fun fact that I really didn't know. I mean, I didn't know about all the hearts, or I'd forgotten about the hearts and the brain until I kind of pick up on it and do the research every morning for these different totems. But this was new. So both parents are usually not around by the time that the young are reaching maturity and kind of go out into the world. unfortunately for the men, they usually die after mating. And then the females do this sort of self-sacrifice, protecting the young, and they just stop eating and stop moving. But both of them play a role, and they're basically sacrificing themselves so that the next generation can move on. So let's focus on the sort of feeling of being an orphan or being on your own. You don't literally have to be that. This is just sort of saying sometimes we feel like we're on the outside looking in. So 2 cards in particular in tarot can sum up how we can look at this. The first, and the one that we can all relate to probably easiest, is 5 of Pentacles. I feel left out. I feel like you're not here and I want you here, or you're not listening to me. Someone can be there and you can still feel the 5 of Pentacles because they're not showing up the way you need them to show up. It can be your partner. It doesn't have to be your parent. What we usually discover as we evolve out of that is the 9 of Pentacles, which is, wow, I can actually do this. I can do it on my own. It would have been nice to have help. It would have been nice to have validation or support, more resources, etc., etc. But I always had what it took, the independence, thus the title. The magic between all of this is really contained in the 6 of Pentacles, which is basically making decisions and saying, all right, I don't have the support here. I have so much time and energy here. So this is what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to dole out the energy here. I'm going to ask for a little bit more here. I'm not going to accept the 5 of Pentacles in my life anymore. And I don't have to be so fiercely independent that I'm solely in the 9 of Pentacles where I'm doing everything for everyone. Because that self-sacrificing energy of the parents, while fascinating as a totem, is not anything that I would advise in real life. We should not give it all 100% for one thing, because we have a long journey ahead of us. I was listening to something on TikTok. Yeah, it was Carly Rae Jepsen. She had that big hit a few years back, but she was talking about how she was relating to someone who called her a one-hit wonder, and she was young at the time, in her 20s or something. She's like, I got my whole life ahead of me. How dare you sort of say that? And she's had a successful career since then and has continued to come out with hits. And don't feel like you have to take someone else's baloney, or that you have to do so much or give up everything, or that one thing defines you. You have this constant ability to decide what's right for you. So the independence and self-sufficiency and the ability to push back either people wanting to push you on the outside or not being there for you is what is kind of amazing about this totem. It's teaching us in this case what not to do and how not to go to extremes and how not to feel isolated. So remember that you're stronger than all of that. And really what this is about is rising above and being independent and self-sufficient, but also asking for help if you need it and not feeling like you have to do everything, not self-sacrificing. All right. This is also a time to remove the mask. We're out of retrograde. We're in the shadow now. By the time many of you watch this in February for the month that it's designed, you're fine. But this still could be something that presents itself from time to time over the next 6 to 8 weeks. So what you want to focus on is letting go of the disguise. The reason I mention this is because this particular animal is really good at camouflage. Some of them even have the ability to change their patterns or colors on their skin. So there comes a time and a place where it's good to blend in. So this is a good feature. There could be the element of surprise, which you could use for instance, in a business. It could be to launch something. You could surprise someone with a birthday present or proposal or whatever. But more often than not, it's better to be honest, and you don't want to go too far in the surprise. My mom had, before she passed away, she made it to her 80th birthday, but my relatives wanted to come in town and completely surprise her. And I said, she's too old for that. I had to give her a heads up, and she thanked me. She said, I think I would have had a heart attack. Interestingly enough, she had a stroke 2 months later. So my intuition was spot on. We have to kind of be careful about the element of surprise. Sometimes it sounds romantic, but you want to be smart about it. It's better to sort of lead someone into a happy surprise, but kind of hold their hand so it's not oh my God, the end of the world. The other thing here, and I chose, interestingly enough, the Fool card in the Tarot de Saint Croix has a mask on it. So sometimes we do something foolish like that. It's good intentions, but it's foolish. The 7 of Swords can also be sort of like trying to do something but not really thinking it through. So in this case, I think authenticity and transparency is going to be better. This isn't the month to do that kind of a surprise. Also, sometimes we hide, alter, or try to change ourselves to make people happy. I think this is the month to put things to the test. It's either meant to be or it's not. Find your plan B, find your sort of security net before you do this, but there comes a point where you just have to be yourself. And if somebody or an environment doesn't support that, that's all you need in order to know that this isn't a good investment of time and energy, okay? All of this is leading us to the heart kind of really being in a good space. The octopus has, again, 3 hearts. And we'll talk a little bit here. We'll geek out on its biology and then talk about what the heart is really going to be, what the focus is going to be on this month. But the blood is blue because the blood is basically richer in copper than iron, like us. And this is an efficiency sort of thing because it helps them in cold and low oxygen conditions. And that's like what it's like in the ocean. So it makes sense. They're very specialized, as I said earlier. The 3 hearts have different roles. One is for circulating blood. The other ones are basically pumping it past the gills, which oxygenate it. So there's a lot of delegation going on in their bodies. Now, all of this energy around the heart and the blood is really talking about passion. And where is your heart? Some of you might feel like your heart is split in some different directions. You might be feeling like, I want to be at home with your family or your loved one or your pet. You might be feeling like you also want to pursue education or work, or there's part of you that just wants to go out and explore the world. So what we're trying to do this month is to take the disparate pieces of the heart and try to bring them closer together and make the month fit into almost like a Venn diagram. If we could take the 3 pieces of the heart and find where it centrally focuses, that's my goal for you today, is to really help your heart focus. Help you be all that you can be emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. No pressure, Nicholas, right? But we'll do what we can do here. Let's quickly summarize all the beautiful messages from the octopus, and then I'll see which deck of cards you're choosing for me to read with today. So I loved that the neural network is basically sort of pushed out throughout the whole body. It's not just centralized in the brain like it is with us. This is also talking about our ability to think on many levels, our ability to use multiple sources of input, our heart, our subtle body, our intellect, also taking in other people's advice and bringing it into a more cohesive whole. You don't have to rely on just one thing. Blend it together, and hopefully that gives you the clarity that you need. And at the end of the day, how do you truly feel about it? Feeling being here. Does it feel good? Does it feel not so good? Trust that above all else. Delegate and elevate, just like it sounds. You don't have to do it all. And if you are going to do something, try to make it something that you're proud at the end of the day about doing, okay? Leading by example, basically. You can do it all on your own, but you don't have to. You don't have to accept less than what's necessary. That's this whole slide in a couple words. Be yourself. Life is short. If you can't be yourself, what are you doing? And why are you doing it? Because it's just not worth the energy. I can say that several decades into my life. It's sort of like, yeah, I'd rather just be myself and have fewer people around me that celebrate that version of me than a bunch of people that think they know me, but they don't. And then I can't really be myself. One fun thing too, it's, I found out one of my neighbors watches my videos, and I love now that at this point in my life, I can just kind of do what I want to do. And whether it's my friend, my family member, a neighbor, just a random person I talk to, I am who I am, take it or leave it, you know what I mean? And that's just a very fun place to be. It hasn't always been that easy. So I'm happy to be at that space. And part of that just comes from being comfortable in your shoes. So I would like that for you too this month. In whatever part of your life you don't feel comfortable, removing the mask, basically. This is going to help your heart come back together. And again, some of you just are trying to be everything for everyone. And I want you to be you for you so that the right people will kind of come around your life. You can attract that higher energy. Okay? So let's see what you've chosen for me, and I'll show you some of the decks right now, and we'll see what's coming through. But again, I have fun with totems. I get just as much from a totem as I do from the cards. Clairvoyance works that way. You don't just work with one tool. I have a lot of friends that are also intuitive. Some of them use runes, some of them use angel cards. All of us kind of connect with the guides, and it's fun as the years pass to just kind of see how this all works. Sun and moon makes a lot of sense. That's what's in the lead right now. I think with the new moon, this one is the perfect choice, but this is what the sun and moon looks like. It's a beautiful deck, and it's one that I use often here. Fountain Tarot, we're all pretty familiar with, a very sort of earthy, not actually earthy, it's airy and ethereal. It is very much not a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. It's sort of loosely based on that. Wildwood is all nature totems, and a beautiful one that I think I used on the weekend. And then this is one that I haven't even taken out of the... I've used this before, but not since like 2017. So this is the Thelema one. And basically a little bit of traditional tarot, a little bit of, I think, Crawley as well in this one. But we're going to use the sun and the moon because it's 50% of the vote, but I just wanted to let you see the other ones, just in case you weren't familiar and give you all a chance to vote. All right, let's get started, folks, on the sun and the moon deck for today. And make this an amazing reading. All right, I'm going to turn down the heat because it finally got warm in here, but I'll put the camera down so you know we're getting started, and good to see all of you. All right. Yeah, our mornings in California have been a little bit cool lately. I've been saying that. Not that that's a bad thing. I'll take that over the rain. We had way too much rain over the past month, so I'll take cold mornings and crisp skies. I used to live in New England, and it reminds me of that a little bit. All right, we're going to focus now on the month ahead. So let's. I'm going to be quiet here and just take a look at the cards and see what's coming through. And if you didn't get your preferred deck, don't worry. I'm trying to pull a lot of the old ones out of rotation. Maybe this afternoon I'm going to ask for some suggestions. Now that we're out of retrograde, I'll make some purchases. I'd like to refresh it a bit and put some new ones into rotation as well. Okay. Oh, wow. I mean, that's already major that we've got both Death and Judgment right at the center. This is an important month for you guys. This is one of my favorite decks to read with if somebody is uncomfortable with tarot because the images are so inviting. It's just a beautifully illustrated deck. Maybe second only to Lightseers, but everything on this one's really engaging. Nothing is off-putting. We have some aquatic energy coming through for the catalyst, which is cool. And for my Aussies, we have the wombat. We have two volunteers that flew off the table here, so we'll put them both in. Cool that we have the Luna Moth. Okay. Let's just create a little more space here on the table, and let's get started. Zoom out just a bit so we can see it all. Okay, so yes, our catalyst today is the dolphin. The dolphin's upside down. I just see that kind of as a more playful version, almost like he's flipping up in the air, right? Oftentimes, whenever I read with an aquatic totem, I don't worry so much about the direction of it. if anything, I think this could be a chance for you to look at things from a more playful perspective, from a different point of view. Try to have some fun with things if possible. And there is a time and a space to take things seriously as well as yourself. And then there's a time to have a little bit of humor about things. In fact, I was chatting with a friend who's watching today as well about sort of how time can heal things. So when you're going through something, you can't laugh about it because it's taxing and it's trying and it's difficult. But sometimes a year later, maybe as soon as a month later, you can look back on it and see sort of like the comedy of errors or the chaotic energy of it and just think, wow, that was a lot. And, maybe even just laugh at the way you handled it. But humor is a good way to let go of energy. You can cry, you can laugh. You can yell, you can scream. There's a lot of different ways to express yourself, and there's no wrong way. But this is showing the power of joy and laughter. So when was the last time you allowed yourself to be silly, to have some fun? It could come through hanging out with a friend. It could be watching something comedic, whether it's a play or a movie, or you just have someone in your life that has that sort of dolphin type energy. Dolphins are really smart. By the way. And so when we look at getting things done, productivity, we need more dolphin-like energy in the corporate workspace because it's so focused on delivery dates, deliverables, expectations, and there's no room for flexibility, for growth, for changing based on data, based on trends and things like that. It's just like, well, we said we were going to do it, we're going to do it. For better or for worse. So also, if it's all focused on the bottom line, nobody's having fun. Everyone's just working hard and miserable. So there needs to be a place where you celebrate, where you have some joy, where you interact. And this month, you're going to be better intellectually, health-wise, heart-wise, if you allow for some love and joy to come in your life. Okay? So the dolphin's teaching us all of those things. All right, folks, this is a big shift for you. And I like it. It's a change. This is change, death and rebirth, obviously. And judgment is coming out of that. I mean, these are two Phoenix cards, one where we actually see the Phoenix on the death card. And then we see a different type of that energy where judgment are basically souls rising from the dead. So we already see it here, and then it's basically reiterated here. So let's talk about the death card first, and then we'll look at the judgment card. So death and rebirth, the death card is reversed. There's a part of your life where you may feel, I can't change, I can't grow, I'm stagnating. So if those thoughts go through your head, or what I'm doing is falling on deaf ears, it's not going where I need it to go. This card is saying, why are you still there? What are you going to do about that? How can you make change happen in your life? The angel of death is coming through with an open heart and an open hand and saying, let me help you shift, transmute, and change this. And when you step into that, it's a beautiful illustration, isn't it? It's a very freeing sort of energy. And so this is so Sagittarius. Go through the fire, come out of that fire unscathed, and you're going to feel better because you've dealt with something. So this is the month to finally put something to rest, to finally break through stagnation. And notice how of the two words on this one, rebirth is bolded. It's the ultimate purpose of going through a death or transformation moment. It's so that you can be reborn. And then that card is crossed by this, judgment, which as we look here, this is almost like a baptismal judgment card. Usually we would see souls in the grave rising up as Archangel Gabriel is blowing his horn. But in this one, we can see this baptismal moment where it's almost like once you accept something or celebrate something or soak in that sort of energy, then you're able to rise up and kind of rise to the occasion, if you will. That's probably the title for you. It's like rise to the occasion. You're ready for that. I feel like you're being primed this month to basically do something great. It's just a question of when you're ready to ease into that and let go of something from the past. It's more of an internal light switch. And once that switch clicks, everything else clicks in your life as well. With this card is a question of belief and acceptance. So the question that can come into your head is, do I believe in myself? My question to you is, If somebody presents you with an opportunity, let's say it's a new job, maybe it's an invitation, it could be a proposal for work or for love. The main thing is, what do you believe and how do you feel? Do you feel you're worth it? If you believe in your worth, they believe in your worth. If you don't, it's going to be a hard sell. But that's basically what I see here, is that someone else, for many of you, someone else may see the worth before you. You may want something, but your worth is being tested, and you have to think like, I truly do believe I can do this. I'm going to let go of the doubt and the frustration and just give it a shot. Okay? If you can suspend disbelief, if you can embrace possibility, then the true movement and growth starts to happen. And I hope it can for you. This is a period where your patience is tried. It's probably already tried, as many of you are watching this live. This is in the deep past. But again, if you're watching this for a month ahead, it's usually things that are presenting now. Hanged Man Reverse says that a lesson's almost been learned, but there's something that you're either not getting or hanging on to that you need to understand before this phase ends. Ultimately, if we look at this in the upright position and look really close, he's hanging from a power symbol, an Ankh, an ancient Egyptian symbol of power and life eternal. So it's you've got three symbols there of eternal life: death, rebirth, judgment, which is rebirth, and then the hanged man, which carries the eternal Ankh on it. So whatever it is that you've been through, and for some of you, it could be a series of events, now is a time to basically show like, wow, I actually have a lot of staying power, and I'm going to just finish this one last thing, and then I'm going to really start to fly. And that's what this month ahead, and hopefully this year ahead, because we're right at the beginning of the year, has in store for you, okay? So I'm acknowledging some of you need this sort of validation. It's been rough, it's been challenging, or you've been tested and tried. Your expectations, your patience has been tested and tried, but it's worth it, because what we see coming through here, first of all, we'll just jump to these two cards, and then I'll move through the other ones. Near future and outcome. Wheel of Fortune, hello, I'll take it. And the King of Pentacles. So it's all moving in the right direction, folks. Yes, there's some stuff here and here which can make it a little harder, but otherwise, this is a good spread. It's really accepting and celebrating that the change is happening, that the new you is coming through. All right, let's focus on a couple of things here. First of all, there is always a small health note with the Hanged Man. Standard disclaimers, even though I'm not already in health yet, I'm not a replacement for a doctor, therapist, or financial advisor. I may talk about this today, but that's, I'm here to look at energy. So looking at the energy of that, the Hanged Man often shows blockages or issues around the ankle or foot. It could be figurative. It could say you're having a hard time getting something started. But it could also be saying, pay attention to that, and if you're looking at shoes, or it's been a long time since you've replaced your shoes, it could be an excuse to do that. If you're walking around construction, or if you're just rushing, watch your step, because a lot of times it has to do with, again, shin, ankle, foot, if I'm looking at the Hanged Man, all right? Now the Strength card in reverse, which is in the recent past, is about exhaustion, energy management, your physical being. So for some of you, you could be burning yourself out a little bit, or there could be a lot of challenges going on. Let me look at this card upright. It looks like she's holding a thistle, which is a cool symbol for strength. And I also see the snake, which can also be an awakening for some of you, but it's also on the leg there. So paying a lot of attention to how grounded you are and how connected you are to the earth, through your feet, through your legs. It's a good time to get out and walk. Again, watching where you're going, but walking is a nice low impact exercise that most of us can sustain without issues. The thistle's so cool. I've looked at this many times, but when we look closely at that flower, I'm pretty sure that's a thistle. Beautiful flower. Like when I was a kid, and you can also use it in supplements, I think, like milk thistle or whatever. But I always didn't want my dad to kill the thistles that would grow in our driveway and sidewalk, because it's such a brilliant color when it blooms. Everything else about it's prickly. It's kind of like a rose in that respect. Prickly, stems and leaves and you don't want to really touch it. But the end result is so beautiful when the thistle blooms. So for many of us, it's saying, hey, we've been through the prickly part. It's time to kind of embrace this part and don't give up before you get to see that blossom, okay? We also have a transformation symbol there, the butterfly. So I think that this last push is the hardest, but it's the most important, okay? Let's look and see what's going on in the crowning position. Many of you, it's stress management. This is the thing. So for some of you, there could be exhaustion, fatigue. Strength reverse can also be a person in your life that tests your will and tests your integrity and comes in and is a tug of war with power as well. And this causes stress for some of you, not surprisingly. So the Nine of Swords in reverse is basically saying, I'm going to let that go. Sometimes we just have a person in our life. I was also talking with my friend about this. Like I had someone a family member that I used to talk to that would just cry on the phone. And it was a lot. Like I couldn't solve all the problems for that person. So there comes a point where you realize their problem, not mine. I've given what I can. I need to do something else. I'll check in later. But we have to empower people to be able to basically process their emotions. You don't have to be the garbage can or the trash bin for somebody where they just keep putting in energy without any regard for how much this is kind of affecting you. So feel free to close that connection if that's all you're getting is their sort of offloading. And for many of you, this is saying, what is the quality of sleep that you're getting, not just the quantity, and what can you do to increase the quality? So stress reduction, exercise, therapy, what you're doing prior to bedtime. I try to listen to either like mantra music or meditative music, or maybe a podcast that's inspirational if I really just want to kind of sit there for a little bit. If I can't go straight to sleep, I try to like reprogram my head in a positive way. Meditation, of course, but try not to focus on all of these things that could go wrong. Focus instead on what you're going to do maybe tomorrow to address some of that, or just say, I'll wake up early and I'll worry about that in the morning. I need to get some sleep now. A lot of times I do that. Last night I needed to make like a teaser graphic for yesterday's video. I'm like, it can wait till tomorrow. I'm tired. I'm going to hang out with Apollo here and get some sleep. I'll do that in the morning. And that's what I did. So put it off. Sometimes just put it off until you have a fresh perspective, because you're going to be clearer and more focused and better able to deal with things. All right. This sort of pattern of reprogramming is putting you in a position for power and success. All the wheels in your brain, kind of like if we were using the steampunk deck, they're starting to move in a different manner. They're more well-oiled, and they're basically primed up for movement. Wheel of Fortune can represent a couple of things. In the near future, could be a new job, could be more money, additional resources. It could also be just a new direction. The wheel's turning in another direction. You need to be at the wheel steering that Wheel of Fortune, though. So I feel like there is an empowerment note, Sagittarius, that's coming through. And it's basically saying, are you ready to take the helm? Are you ready to be at the forefront here? If you are, I feel like some good stuff is coming through. If you've been waiting for a change, let's say it's been a minute since you've been able to find a job, or you've been stagnating at your job, there's a chance for either things to change or for you to find something better. So we like this. The Wheel of Fortune, first of all, it can be a 1-year cycle. It can be a change in direction. And it also has the number 10 on top of it. So this could be more like 10 days or 10 weeks out, a few months away, but it feels like it's within reach, like a month or 2.5 months or something like that for you, because 8 weeks would be 2 months. And so yeah, 2.5 months. For some of you, this shift starts now, but it really kicks off around, in the Northern Hemisphere, be around springtime, right? So I see things moving in the right direction and for the better. What's important is what I just talked about. This is you this month. You're symbolized by the Ace of Swords. This Ace of Swords has a crown on top. So it is about owning and moving and doing something with the idea, the vision, the decision. So it's thoughts, words, actions, all pulled together with this Ace of Swords. As long as you do that, you're headed in the right direction. Also, like less is more is what I'm getting when I'm looking at this. Isn't it nice when there's just like one thing to focus on in a card like this? Super simple, super straightforward. in your messaging, in your actions, if you can be equally as clear, that's going to be helpful. There's a reason that people like my 1-minute videos. There's only one card. There might be 2 or 3 central messages with that one card, and it's just for one day. It's easier to digest. So I get it. I understand why you like the 1-minute videos. So in the same way that works, like when you're talking to someone or doing something, keep it simple, keep it clear, keep it focused. That's all I have to say about that. All right, looking in the environment here, we have the 9 of Wands. You might be receiving some pressure to do something. You might not want to do it. You might be ready to do it and you need the little nudge. If it's just sort of like the support, well, that's great. But never feel forced to do something that doesn't feel right for you, okay? So that's one thing with a 9 or a 10 of Wands in reverse. Sometimes it can be people flexing, pushing, or forcing an issue, and don't let that happen if you don't want that, okay? Now let's look at the positive attributes of the 9 of Wands. Well, cue up the old I'm a Survivor song from the early 2000s, from what was that, Destiny's Child? So 9 of Wands is the survivor card of the minor arcana, and definitely of Wands. You've got that extra opportunity to prove your strength, to prove your ability, and you're nobody's fool. And a lot of times people take for granted your staying power or your stubbornness. I would never take that for granted. I've known many Sagittarians in my life, and I know that when they've made their mind up, when they're really behind something, they're going to get the job done. So I know your sign can do it. And when I'm looking in the environment, I think people might be surprised at just how far you can go. So this is like the 9th life coming in, that second wind, that ability to pull ahead when everyone else is losing and getting fatigued. And this is your moment to really finish what you've started. So that's what I see here with that. All right, let's look at opportunities. Love, friendship, having some fun, which I talked about just a moment ago. We have the 10 of Cups. So for those of you that have been prioritizing kind of like hanging out with friends and family more, this card is emphasizing that that's a good direction. If you've been looking for love, this is saying it's possible. If you are wondering what you should be focusing on, it's networking. Even if you're single and happy or partnered and happy, this is saying, well, let's not underestimate the importance of other people in our lives. We need that bigger network of friends and family and extended family and colleagues and all of that. So definitely work on the networking. The more you put yourself out there, it feels like the more, it's almost like snowballing. There's going to be more of that to come, but you have to take the first step. And that's kind of what the Ace of Swords is reminding you, one step at a time, okay? As we take a look at the outcome, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a really auspicious card. I love the King of Pentacles. It's a card of plenty, of abundance, of being able to share the abundance with the people in your life that you care the most about, which I love. Always in Pentacles cards, you're going to have some sort of growth, and we see it in the grass here on this particular card. Let me just pull up the traditional one just for comparing and contrasting. It's the only one I felt the need to do it. But I was mentioning, I don't know who, it was probably one of my one card videos. All the Pentacles cards, you're going to see just how much is available to you. So I want you to see that here. Many of you have been working very long and very hard to create this moment. So enjoy it. One thing that the King of Pentacles does is he's not afraid to treat himself. He's also generous when he's upright. He's not afraid to share it. And he also realizes, like, let me just sit here for a second. A lot of times I will critique the court cards for being still or for sitting. I don't think I've ever praised it, but I want to praise the court card today for just being present and sitting still for a moment and saying, all right, this is how I got here. This is something that I should really celebrate. And then once you've done that, then you can start to move in the right direction. Don't move until you've sort of given yourself a moment to soak it in, to drink it in. Because as a goal-oriented species, it feels like we just go from one goal to the next. We don't often just take a moment to be. So just be and breathe and observe, and then see how you feel about just being in that moment, and then decide what to be next. But until you truly are present, you can't go into the future tense of the verb to be. You have to sort of be present first, okay? So we've gone way deep and esoteric today, but Isn't that why you all come here? I think so. All right, let's expand the forecast. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Like I said, I just like to take a quick glance at the cards from Spirit's perspective. Then we can dig into the areas that we all love and care about. If you just joined, I like to just remind folks here, I am a tarot reader, I'm an intuitive, I'm a psychic, I'm a medium, but I am not a financial advisor, a lawyer, or a doctor. So if you need any of those folks in your life, lean on them. But with that being said, let's see what Spirit wants to say about your health card here. Wombats. They're an interesting totem. I always love looking at videos of either like the animals in Australia or New Zealand because they're so unusual and cool. Even like Tasmania, like anything where it's sort of off the beaten path because it's just fun. So the wombat spirit here, being at home, if I'm correct, it's kind of hard to spot them sometimes. They don't always make themselves sort of like visible, but so being at home, this is King of Pentacles energy, by the way. He's kind of bringing forth the King of Pentacles energy and just kind of having fun and being present. There's not a lot of thinking that goes into the wombat. It's more just sort of like, let's be for a second. So this is an extension of what I just talked about, and I like that. I think the other thing here is evaluating the environment. So be at home. It doesn't have to just be your house. But by the way, this is the card of house and home, either the King or the Queen of Pentacles. Whenever they come through, I want to take a look at the environment. So thank you, Wombat, for reminding me about that. So do you feel at ease and at home, either in your apartment, your dormitory, your condominium, your house, or the place in which you currently reside? That reminds me of Moira when she was talking about Schitt's Creek. Anyway, whatever home is for you, does it feel like a place you want to hang your hat for a while? If it doesn't, then what are you doing there and why are you there? And what are your plans to make yourself feel more at ease and at home? Let's see what else I want to say about this. Environments also. So looking at your house, your office, and your car. Home extends beyond just the four corners of our building. It's also kind of the places that we spend a lot of time in. So for those of you in commuting cultures where you spend a lot of time in your cars, make sure that's comfortable. Make sure that that is also clear, clean, and inviting. Make sure that what you're listening and sort of ingesting in the car is also, again, like as far as the radio and all of that goes, is good. If you don't want to drive as much as you're driving or fly as much as you're flying or be on the tube or the train or whatever, then find a way to get closer to work or work from home or something like that. Does the office environment feel inviting? Or is it something that is not welcoming, that makes you feel kind of like the orphan energy that we talked about with the octopus earlier, pulling that into the reading? If so, it's time to move. So this is really looking at either kind of putting some roots down and feeling more like this is it, I want to be here, or transplanting yourself and going somewhere where you can feel more at home, okay? And that is the main message with respect to health. Let's look at the cards for additional ones. I already talked about paying attention to your ankle and your foot, so just reemphasizing that. Strength card reverse could indicate the importance of more exercise. Working with a health professional is key if you change anything in diet or exercise, but that's an exercise card. This is coming through a difficult situation. It's a rebound, but it could also be a close call. It could also be the transformative energy of a divorce, a loss of a loved one, a death, a literal death, or just a big life change. Marriage can be this. Marriage or divorce can both be death and judgment because it's the death of the old you and it's the birth of a new you. So many of you are just entering a new phase of life. Basically, graduation isn't just when you get, your cap and gown. We graduate at several points in our life. So this is a graduation moment for many of you, stepping out, stepping through, and the question is, what do you really want to do with that, right? I do see here a little bit of, I was also talking with a friend the other day about the Nine of Wands, where if we hold a lot of the Nine of Swords in our body or in our mind, it comes through as headaches, as insomnia, as migraines, as persistent thoughts. So it can be stuck in the head like a ricochet, but not because necessarily of a physiological problem. It could be more environmental or emotional or mental. So multiple things that could be kind of like creating sensitivity in the headspace. But for those of you that have migraines or other issues, this card also indicates that as well. So pay attention. So the octopus said, pay attention to the heart. And that's really about happiness. This is about being mindful about your next step, both like out in life and figuratively speaking. And this is saying, don't let it all get to your head. Don't let everything sort of sit here. And then we talked about sleep. And I already kind of really talked about environments. The secret sauce for all of this is having some fun. The dolphin upside down. All right, so that's your health card for today. Let's take a look at wealth. Beautiful energy with this one. So occasionally I use a deck that doesn't have any words on it because it just allows me to lean into intuitive energy. So I focus on the world here, but the world is upside down as I pulled it. And we're focusing more on the energy of people. So I believe that this is connected to the 10 of Cups here. And for many of you, the movement that's happening within what I see here. So for many of you, like I said, it could be getting married, getting divorced, graduating, or going through a pivotal change, even death. And this is uprooting you. This was your sort of like, I know where I'm at. And this was the group of people that you were with. And it's sort of like in this moment in time, finding a new tribe, finding a new spiritual family. It's coming through in wealth because your next decision when it comes to your life purpose or what you're doing for a living or how you're spending your time and resources, it could involve a significant move. So to me, this is like spinning the globe a little bit in the Two of Wands. Where am I going next? Trusting that you can make friends or keep the connections no matter where you go. It's really in this moment saying you have to be happy, you have to be yourself. And if part of that involves making a move, people are either going to support that or they're not. But you're going to continue to be open to creating, fostering, finding a family if they don't follow suit on that one. So let's summarize this. Do what's right. Don't do what's expected. Don't worry about external validation, and give yourself time to plant new roots in a new place. Take it from me, I was a rolling stone last year, and I'm just finally getting a chance to unpack, put all the boxes away, and stop that. But even when I used to go to some of the Airbnbs, I got it down to my core stuff. I was like, I need this amount of things to do my business, to have clothes to wear, to feed my dog, to just be happy. So I boiled it down to the essentials, and I would still unpack at each place. I think people that travel a lot do this. If you're on a tour bus or if you're a business person, you know that you can kind of like you have to kind of hang up your shirts in the closet, even if it's going to be for a week. So for some of you, I need you to put some roots down. And for those of you that are just getting started in a new place, give yourself time to do that. If you're afraid of the process of moving, don't be. Take it one step at a time. Whatever the next move is, it should be premeditated. It should be because you want to do it. Let's look specifically at the cards for some additional messages that want to come through. We're going to start with those of you that might be in a job or some sort of a situation that involves the exchange of resources. That's almost all of us, whether it's volunteer work if you're retired, school if you're a student, or work. Something needs to change or something's about to change. That's what I'm going to say here. There was impatience here in the past, but a decision has been made. By the way, that's judgment sometimes. You already know what to do. But what's going on about the decision? So if it's school, maybe you don't like the program or the school that you're at and a change needs to happen. Or you were really hoping that things would get to the end and now it's the end and it's like, oh my God, now I got to get out and earn money and get into the real world. So there's either this disbelief that it's happening, or there is an understanding that you need to do something, but I'm not seeing the action on that yet. So if you know what you want to do, time to take action. If you're pinching yourself and saying, is this real? It's real. So that's the first message here. For those of you that are in a traditional job and you feel frustrated, I feel your frustration. It looks like there's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, not a lot of rewards right now. And so what needs to happen for you to feel like this is worth it is that you need to see some sort of reciprocity. More money, better title, more opportunity. If not, you can definitely network and find something else. I think there's a good shot of getting what you're looking for, but just be straight shooting with this. Like say, stick to the facts, say what you need to, and see what they say. And if it's not good enough, then find something in the long run that's going to be better. But what's going for you is your reputation and your network. So that's really what you want to focus on in this moment in time. If you want to move on, this is saying, yeah, let's do it. This is a card of moving. This is like the world upside down, basically. And we have a lot of transformative cards here. So if it's for the right reason, I like it. I could see a move for money. I could see that being good for you. I can see new friends coming in through that as well. Just do your homework, take your time, and do it because you want to do it. That's the main thing with this, okay? Reduction of stress is a necessity right now. A change in direction. Let's just put it that way. It feels like you've done and proven and experienced everything that you need to, some of you, from some situation, and it's like you're long in the tooth and it's time to move in another trajectory. And that's just life. Kind of like a snake shedding its skin. It's time to try on something new. Ultimately, it's all empowered here. I like what I see, and I like that we have 2 money cards in the near future. All you need to do to activate the resources is action and decision, and they're going to be working together. Yes, I choose this. Yes, this is happening. This is how I'm going to do it. This is why. And I'm not going to worry about this so much. I'm going to take care of my body, and I'm not going to be forced to do something because it's expected. It's basically what I'm picking up here. But it's a good month for work, and it's a good month to change, and it's a good month to start something new. It's a good time to move. Many of you have been waiting to move until retrograde's over. So all of that's coming through. All right, let's move on to relationships and see what the energy is. You had 2 cards that popped out of the deck. One that's super appropriate for now. We have the Luna Moth and then we have the Fawn. So let's talk about these 2 cards here. So a Luna Moth, I would, let's give it a second to focus. I would definitely connect this with the energy of death and transformation because it's a moth and it goes through metamorphosis, a cocoon, all of that. It's also very nocturnal, so we have the energy of the moon coming through. And if you're watching this live, we have a new moon on the horizon, and I'll be doing something special for the new moon, so stay tuned. But with a new moon, it's a good time to plant seeds of intention. And so this is a chance for you this weekend, if you're watching me live or watching this on replay, to really set some goals into action. Even if you're just watching this in February, just think to yourself, what do I want to do differently this year, this month? What do I want to experience that's going to create a sense of expansion and joy? Where can I spread my wings a little bit? Many of you may be getting some of this inspiration at nighttime as well because this is nocturnal. Or you may get a little push of energy in the early hours of the morning or evening. So go with it. Whenever the muse hits, go with it. The Fawn card, because I've worked a lot with the Wild Wood Tarot, it reminds me of the Four of Pentacles, which is a sort of, it's a card of holding back a little bit. And also, fawns are shy. Apollo's now in the other room. At a certain point, he's like, you're talking too much and too loud, Dad. I'm going to go in the other room. But Apollo gets nervous if I make too much noise because he's a rescue and didn't have ideal situations when he was a little pup. So with him, I have to approach him quietly and carefully, and even though I've known him for a long time now. So if there's someone new in your life, if there's something new in your life, just approach it with caution, with one step at a time. You don't have to dive in head first, right? So growth and transformation takes time. Do it one step at a time and don't get scared. Don't worry so much. Don't give in to fear, okay? That's the main thing that I'm picking up on with relationships and with opportunities in general. Let's focus on love, and we're going to look at it in 3 different categories primarily. Those in a loving relationship, those looking for love, and those that are single and happy. All right. For the loving relationships, there's really going to be 3 different trajectories, but I'm going to look at it first from, I can make 2 of them one. If you're in a loving relationship, I get past life. I was going to talk about that separately, but let's put it together. I just feel like many of you are from a past life, or that you're dealing with a karmic relationship right now. So When I talk about in love or a loving relationship, this could also be the person you love most in your life. It could be your child. It could be your parent. It could, because if we're going karma, this is how I'll kind of overlay that. So the karmic relationship could be platonic and familial. For some of you, it's also a romantic one because these are two cards of rebirth. Very rarely do I get the two rebirth cards like this. So this is death and rebirth, literally being reincarnated. And this is life after death, reincarnation. So let's look at the karma of this first. For some of you, the karma is about patience and power. So in a past life, maybe one of you was impatient and missed an opportunity for love. Maybe the difficulty in the relationship was control. One person trying to push the other person to do something. In this lifetime, the opportunity to release the fear of that and to just focus on allowing things to move the way they need to move. There's a lot of love. There's a lot of intellect as well. Like when I look at the Ace of Swords, there's a lot to talk about. Ace of Wands is more passionate, but the Ace of Swords, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to sort of do together. So I see like activity partners, then I see the intimacy coming through with the Ten of Cups. The only thing that could be getting away in karmic relationships, and if they're platonic, there's still a lot of fun here. The only thing that could be getting in the way is trying to control each other, getting impatient with each other. So focus on that. And your own stress management, not dumping that on the partner or the person that you care about, okay? If we're just looking at traditional partnerships, I kind of take the karma out. Then what I'm looking at is a big life change. You either just got married or maybe in the process of divorcing or some big change, maybe a death of a parent or a loved one. So the main thing here is fatigue and stress. That's going to be something that is getting in the way. The way to focus on keeping things solid is through communication and not forcing each other to do stuff. Just being there and saying, I can't solve this, but I can listen. That's one thing that I've tried to do as a friend and as a family member now is just like, well, I'll just listen. I can give you support and I can validate what you're feeling. So that's something that can be valuable in the situation. And it can go in a positive trajectory here. Wheel of Fortune and King of Pentacles. You need to talk about money and desires, and not so much desires, but like goals. It feels like money and goals is a big part of this next month's conversation here. So there's a lot to unpack with existing relationships, and some of it is past life. But if you can get past the past life stuff, then it's just the energy of change and movement, moving for a job, moving in together, movement because of a death or something in the family. So the bonds of your relationship will be tested a little bit this month, but these are favorable outcome cards, okay? If you're single and looking, you got to go through the change first. Letting yourself go into the moth state, basically, coming out of the cocoon and becoming the moth. For some of you, you have to move or move out or move on. For many of you, you need to focus on the stress management and self-care first. Once all of that is managed, like in the snap of fingers here, we have someone interested pretty quickly. We're getting an earth sign coming in. Someone grounded, someone that's kind, someone that's got their feet on the ground, although in this card they're kind of on the move, but generally speaking, earth signs are pretty grounded. And I like it, and I think there's a lot of movement that could happen there. So yes, but sort yourself and sort your energy first, and then everything else will follow suit. Single and happy, good for you. You're still going to have a lot going on, so I want you to focus on your time and energy management. I think there's a lot of career growth that's possible in this period of time. If you're retired, this can also even encourage you to travel. And I think that the calling card right now is friends and family. So just because you're single and happy doesn't make you a lone wolf, as illustrated here. You can be single and have a great connection to the world around you, whether it's through service or through friends. So you're not alone this month. And you still may meet somebody this month, even though you're not looking, okay? So that's the energy there. If someone special does come into your life and you're not looking, don't be scared off. And don't get too serious too fast. Have a little fun going back into the dolphin energy, because that's really what the Ten of Cups and the dolphin wants. This leads into that I can see myself with you for a while energy, but you have to start first with just a playful date, a play date. All right. let's move on to the Destiny card. We have the Goddess card here in reverse. To me, the Goddess can be any of the Queen cards. She can also be the Empress. She has a full moon behind her as well. What I like about this is it's basically just divine feminine energy saying, take care of yourself. She's reversed. So she's not focusing so much on everyone else, at least not if we're empowering the Goddess reverse. She's saying, what do I need to do to lift myself up, to elevate things, to be stronger? And how can I pull back a little bit from giving away everything? Because that was the one thing that I didn't love about the octopus, especially the divine feminine, the mother octopus. She just sat there and stopped doing things, stopped eating. It's almost like she became stone. So we don't want that. We want you to focus on moving the energy. Sometimes we learn what not to do from the totem, and that's my advice with that. Okay? We're going to take a look now at the big idea, helping you see something else that we haven't already talked about. What's the missing piece? What's the big focal point for today? Yeah, I probably should just title my channel Deep Thoughts with Nicholas Ashbaugh. Today's is a little bit deeper than usual. I actually find that like when I just take my time and start when I'm ready, that's something that I'm doing this year. I start when I'm ready, when the muse is here and when the info is here, it's better. Intuitives don't necessarily work on a timeline sometimes. All right, big idea. Six of Cups, more partnership, more fun, more dolphin. All right, the Six of Cups is reversed. Six of Cups carries with it a lot of different connotations. First of all, if we look at it in the evolved adult sort of energy here, Six of Cups could be someone from the past that you care about. And you get a chance here to mend the ways with them. It's the inner child wanting to come out and play. It's also understanding that many of you are calling in someone who represents that soul partnership that you've maybe been seeking. Not your missing piece, not your better past or your better part. It's just someone from the past that's actually illustrating how amazing you are. They're reflective. This is the thing. And this is why anyone that says, you know, this is my better half or my missing person or whatever it is that we kind of ascribe to partnerships, no, they are reflecting your exact energy. So they're just as good as you. It's not your better half. It's not, you know, anything else than your reflection, and not in a sort of narcissistic way. It's more sort of like they are meeting your energy. So what I see is someone that wants to meet your energy on a very high level. The Six of Cups is a favorable card. If I'm looking at high level love, the Star card, death or judgment, the Six of Cups, this is pretty high energy. So the more you can be yourself and have fun and maybe just hang out with people that you care about, the more likely you are to meet that energy. Either just meet the energy of what you're supposed to be, and that can be your Six of Cups, or as you meet the energy, then someone else comes in and they reflect it back, and then you have a new friend, a new love interest, or something really exciting. But it's about becoming the energy of the Six of Cups. Then you attract the other person in the Six of Cups, okay? If you're looking to start a family, this can be twins. So if you're pregnant, there could be twin energy. And again, it's just a good card overall, but dolphin energy with this for sure. Not only is it an aquatic card, but it's also about having fun. And we see people playing around in the water there, having a good time, okay? What I also like is all the lilies here that we see. They've been through the tough part, and now it's time to have a little bit of fun. Okay, let's move on to blessings and blocks. Things that can enhance, things that can distract. Seven of Cups for your blessing, and the moon coming through for your block. All right, for the blessing. Seven of Cups is an interesting card. There's a lot of options in front of you. I would never really kind of focus on it as a card of debauchery. Normally, it's just about feeling overwhelmed. Let's look at the traditional one, and then let's kind of combine with this reimagined one. I think what the universe is asking you is, what do you want? What are you trying to create? Because it's a card of innovation. So here's your traditional Seven of Cups. This is a wildly different one that we just saw. So Seven of Cups, the debauchery or the sort of like over-the-top moment could be sometimes we don't believe we can get everything that we're trying to get in life. And sometimes you can check everything off the list, whether it's a place that you're going to live, a person that you want to meet and the qualities that they have, or just like something where it's above and beyond. So what I'm reading this card as is above and beyond, yet there's disbelief in that. So don't go there. If you get what you're looking for and it's even better, good for you. You were deserving of it. The universe isn't going to give you more than you can handle. Okay? Now, if we take the more traditional read of the Seven of Cups in reverse as a blessing, it's about being decisive. Okay? So the debauch word on that one really throws me off because it has nothing to do with this card. This is really, but it could be an abundance of opportunities, which you could celebrate. But I'm looking at this as that you need to make a choice and that you're getting closer to making a decision. And that once you make that decision, things really line up for you. And then you can have some fun. So I finally found my way there to maybe how this artist decided that was going to be the title. It can be the sort of elation of decision. I'll go with that. I like that. So I've definitely felt that. Now, my sun sign is Libra, so I like to think about things and research things. It comes through even in the way that I present. I want to get it all researched. Capricorn as well. That's my ascendant. But once I've decided on something, I feel great. I don't have to think about it anymore. I can just chill the rest of the day. So that's what I feel like the hardest thing for you is coming to the decision, and then you can relax. So make the decision. Make a move on the decision, and then things start to get easy, and then you can have some fun. But don't celebrate before you've made that decision. Okay. The block. Emotions, fear, anxiety coming through. The moon card always gives us a chance to just go. We're missing the path on this one. So it's kind of fun that we see the Piscean energy playfully dancing in the background. But let's look at the traditional card because they're missing something. I like to compare and contrast. And then what I do like is the playful element. So don't get too serious. Using humor, using sort of like playtime to get you out of the moon. That's what I'm going to take from that card. But let's look at the traditional moon and see what sort of additional messages could come through for the potential block for this month. Since you're watching it ahead of time, hopefully you're not going to have the block, but let's look at it anyway. Okay. So while I'm getting to the moon card, a lot of times what it's showing us is that we need to focus on something that, isn't necessarily the easiest. Maybe because it involves having a conversation. Maybe because it involves dealing with something that we've put way underneath the rug. So the traditional card, we see a lobster in the front coming out of the water. We see a path in front of the lobster and between the wolf and the coyote or the wolf and the dog. And basically, the option here is to not focus so much on the distractions. Deal with the emotional piece, like I'm afraid of this or I'm triggered by this and this is why I am. Okay, now I understand that. Then there's competition or territorial energy with the two wolves, and we're not going to let that get in the way of the path in front where the moon is basically illustrating. Let's go through this. You might have one more gatekeeping moment. You see the two like monolithic features in the background, but you're on your way to something better. Here we see the two lighthouses as those monoliths. But there's something to celebrate and there's movement. Basically, that's the one thing that I'll take from both cards. There is always a path, there's always movement, there's always an opportunity. Don't get stuck in the emotion, don't get stuck in the competition. Okay? Let's take a moment here to do viewers and readers' choices and see what we can additionally sort of glean from the cards here. Okay. I usually like to take the hardest, but you don't have a bad card today, by the way, dare I say. I think this is fun in the center, the death and the rebirth one. So why don't I just look at it? I'm not so nervous about this. I'll give you a chance to vote on that if you want to. Stress management seems like it's something that's easy-ish. But let me look at what this is about, because you could also have two pivotal changes. So what I'll look at is the energy of change, rebirth, etc. Okay, let's start a poll here, and let's do the viewer's choice. And in the viewer's choice, let's take a look at some stuff. Peer pressure comes through loud and clear. Stress management. The other thing is how and when to take action. And let's see here. Self-care overall. Self-care. Okay. I feel like those are some great choices. Take a look at whatever you'd like, or we'll vote on whatever you'd like me to take a look at. While you're doing that, I'm going to look at death, rebirth, and judgment. What's the message between these two major arcana cards? Aha. All right, we have the Five of Pentacles coming on this as a clarification for the Death and the Judgment cards. So, interestingly, this is one of the few decks that actually will put some words or some thoughts on it. As a reader, I usually don't like that, but I do like it on this card, because what the person as the figure of the Five of Swords wants you to feel is defeated. And that oftentimes is, we'll look at the traditional card too while I'm talking, but typically in the Five of Swords, you see someone that feeds off of the stress that they cause. Sometimes they do something intentionally to either create havoc or ruin, and then they take joy in the work that they've done. So I've said this multiple times this month, but the best way to disprove, to get even, to move on from that energy is to have a happy and successful life. And you don't have to say or do anything. You just thwart their plans by not letting it bother you, by thinking, what a waste of time, energy, and breath that person is doing by just sitting there and spouting off whatever it is. It could be sometimes things that aren't even true, sometimes cruel things, sometimes hurtful things where they just want to get into your head and stop the motion, because you have this wheel of fortune here, movement, okay? So what this person is trying to do, you see varying degrees of success and emotions on this. So the foreground, Five of Swords, someone said something to trigger you. In the background, way in the background, you see someone crying. Then we see someone here that's distracted by that whole kind of dramatic event. And then we have the person feeding off the energy. So we just want to stop this vampiric energy of feeding it. And this person wants to put, it's almost like they're putting there's three swords and they want to put a fourth one around you so you just don't take action, right? So they're taking four of the swords to create four swords around you where you're just incapacitated. So you're going to rise above this and think, no, you can throw as many stones as you want. You can say as many things as you want. Call me names, make up words, make up stuff, whatever. That's your truth, but that's not my truth. That's your myopic vision of the world, but that's not the reality of the world. I'm not going to waste my time and energy trying to put myself in your head to argue with you about this. I'm just going to move on. And that's really, it's kind of like what the Moon card said. If anyone in your life has that Five of Swords energy. Now, if we take it all out, you're like, Nicholas, I'm fine. I have good people around me. We could just take the card value where it says defeat. There's something that happened and you have your own little Five of Swords voice in your head where you think to yourself, I didn't do what I set out to do. I can't do this. It won't happen. We can be our own Five of Swords. So your environment may be clear, but your head may not. So all you have to do in this moment is clear the thoughts and just be. Just move. Move forward, take action, move beyond this, and allow yourself to get out there. That's it. So it's either a mental reprogramming or an environmental sort of like enough is enough moment. Let's see what you chose for me. Very clearly by 63%, how and where to take action. So let's take a look and see. How and where to take action in your life. Good call. So we're basically tuning in to the Ace of Swords because that's a really powerful card and that's how you showed up this month. All right, how and where to take action. Prince of Cups reversed. So we have a Knight of Cups card here reversed. The first thing to do is to focus on giving yourself permission to feel. Feel happy, feel sad, whatever. The emotions are going to be how should I put this? They're either going to be accelerant or fuel for you to move forward, or they're going to be turbulence, right? So if you're in an airplane and they're like, we have some turbulence, we're going to slow down or whatever it is, it's basically the friction. You have to allow the emotions to process and then feel in a different state to move faster. Otherwise, they're going to keep pushing against your progress. So the first thing you have to do is to either embrace the emotion if it's positive and move forward with it, or address it if it's negative. And everything I said earlier is important. If you need to talk to someone about this, talk to someone about this. This is a tarot reading, so I'm just going to show you that this is what you need to deal with. You have a choice to process it or not. For some of us, we can do it on our own, or we can talk to a friend, or we can talk to a therapist, or we can go out dancing. I don't care how you do it, but there needs to be a processing of the emotions and a decision what to do with the emotions. And then that either accelerates or decelerates your trajectory. Take that piece out. Prince of Cups is also saying, in this moment, take action in your love life. For some of you, you've been putting that to the sideline for a while, and it's coming through right now, and it's saying, hey, I'm here. We have another dolphin, different deck, having fun, coming through, both of them upside down. Your partner could be drawn into your life when you're just doing something fun. Forget about the apps. I deleted all of them a long time ago. They're not worth it. Just go out and have fun with friends and do what you need to do. You have a good chance this month of meeting someone just as you're being your authentic self. I actually think for some of you, while you're laughing or engaged in something that brings a smile or joy, that's how you're going to make a friend, meet an old acquaintance, or find a love interest. It's when you're not focusing on that, when you're just having some fun and being in your emotions, which again was the catalytic energy. The catalyst this month is play. So have some fun, bringing it back to the dolphin. Again here, have some fun, do something fun. So whatever the next big thing in your life is, it should involve joy. Before you do whatever the next big thing is, you should tune into your own emotions and make sure that they're flowing in the way that they need to flow. And just have some fun this month, okay? How and when? You don't need to capitalize it so much. How and when? Now. I mean, we have an ace, okay? So an ace is 1, or it can be 1 or 10. And this is a 1 or a 10. So either this day, this week, or over the next week. Take action in that, okay? So there you go. Understand one interesting thing I just want to put out there, and I'm just being playful too with all of this. You may ask a question and get a different answer with tarot, and you may not get the answer that you wanted. And that, my friends, is how tarot works. You get the message you need to hear because that's what Spirit wants to come through and say. So the how and the when is now, or in the next 10 days, or in the next 10 weeks. I actually gave you the timeline a little bit earlier for some of this stuff. And the whole reading gives you the how and when. It's 6 to 8 weeks. So what's more important is tuning in. I gave you the how, and you can do it right now. The how is this, which was also part of the totem earlier. Okay? Okay. And so that's basically it. And you say, just kidding, but I just also want to put it out there because some people are impatient, and that was one of the messages that came through was patience. So I'm addressing it in a very real-time message. So don't kid with me if I'll focus on the stuff sometimes, and it takes me out of the channel. If it's a legitimate question, cool. But you're right, I said how and when, and that was the question. But the how and the when is basically focusing more on the how, and it dictates the when. I could have also answered it that way. Because if you don't feel good and you're not ready, then, and I can't give you a timeline on the heart, folks. And one thing with the tarot is that a lot of it it really depends on your action. So anybody that just says you're going to find someone in 7 days, they're not giving you what you need. What they should tell you is how to find somebody in a shorter amount of time. Not that someone will come into your life in 7 days. It's how to do the work to open it up so that it can happen as soon as possible. That's a more effective use of tarot, just a little tarot 101. It's not so much about the timeline, it's about the work. And that's kind of what I focus on my channel. All right, sun, rising, and moon messages. We're going to focus a little bit deeper on sun, rising, and moon so that you can get the clarity that you need to excel in those areas of your life. Okay. Sun, rising, and moon. Looking good, folks. All right, let's take a look at sun sign messages. Oops, sorry about that. We have the Magician card, which is a beautiful message for anybody that is Sagittarius Sun. This is basically saying it is what you make of it. You have all the tools necessary for success this month. Focusing on the thing or the things where you can make the most progress, that's going to be the most important piece. And not spreading yourself too thin, even though this card is upright, that's still a part of that. Also, the singular or unique approach here as he's kind of playing the drum, marching to the beat of your own drum, that's so important. And surprising yourself. Again, even if you haven't tried something, maybe especially if you haven't tried something before, give it a shot because you have many lifetimes of experience that you can pull from. And you know, there are certain things, like in this lifetime, writing and speaking and language, that was kind of easy for me because I've done it in past lifetimes. What wasn't so easy? Mathematics. I love science, and I feel like I've geeked out on that in a past lifetime, but mathematics. Now I have an ear for music, but I can't carry a tune. I would have to work on that. But I could, when I listen to a song, I can tell if they sampled something or what would mix well with it. So definitely I've worked with music before. I have more of a producer's ear, but I'm not going to be able to sing. So we all have like gifts that came into the planet. Then there's things where mathematically I have to work and I have to check the math and did I carry the numbers and all that stuff. So we all have things that we have to work on, but I'm telling you, there's maybe one or two latent gifts that you haven't given yourself credit for. You can have some fun with that and develop them further. We always had one lifetime where we just decided to do the work. So even if it is work, and let's say I wanted to be an architect and math is a part of architecture, so be it. Then I'll learn the math so that I can do the architecture. And then next lifetime, the math will be easier. So maybe you just want to do the work in one area. It's more like, does it make you feel empowered and magical? And that's the Magician, okay? So work your magic this month, manifest in real time, and have some fun. It's going to be a good month for you. Moving on to rising. Very similar energy as the how and the when that we were just talking about, Princess of Cups. The big thing here is giving yourself permission to be happy, allowing your sensitivity to not define everything, to just sort of like say, today I'm feeling a little bit more this or a little less that, and maybe prioritizing relationships. So taking care of yourself, letting yourself be sensitive, being artistic, channeling that creativity, and spending a little bit more time with the people that you love. That's really what Rising and Ascendant wants to do. You have a really empathic gift this month. You can read a person or a room with ease. And you can pick up on something pretty quickly. Trust in that. And that's the main message there. And that's all I really need to focus on with that. Moving to the moon sign messages, we have the Three of Wands, which is one of my favorite cards. It is reversed, but let's look at it upright and let's see how we can maybe pull it into the upright position. So this Three of Wands is juggling a lot, but doing so with ease, with aplomb. So the thing that you might be focusing on is, you know, in a given day, and actually when juggling, if you look at this, two are in the air, one is in their hand. So they're dealing with an ace at a time, and then the two in the air is kind of like the Two of Wands, keeping your eye on other things, other moving parts, but really focusing on one. And if you do that, you're going to be able to continue the momentum in one area and then bring some other stuff in. And that's really what the Three of Wands normally represents, is your ships coming in, opportunities coming in. I love an active one, and this is probably the most active Three of Wands in any of my decks. But we'll look at the traditional one because there's one other piece that I want to talk about, which is things are not always obvious. The Three of Wands is dependent upon their vision or their gaze. Where are they looking? So the ships are coming in so long as the Three of Wands person is looking at the ships. What if they were looking in the other direction? They would miss the ships. What I like about this Three of Wands is they're looking at everything, all the different things. They're focusing on one, but they're also keeping their periphery vision on the other ones. So that's your challenge and opportunity, is how to stay present with this, but not lose track of a couple of moving pieces, couple of moving parts. Remembering what I talked about way at the beginning, which is you can delegate, Queen of Wands energy coming in here. You can delegate, ask for help, not get stuck in the middle of stuff. Okay? Cool. That's basically that main portion. And by the way, sorry if I was getting distracted or kind of harping on that. It was because it was capped. And I'm like, I think I answered it. So don't worry about it. You're good. I also wanted to kind of like hit on something that sometimes there's so much focus on short reading or getting a timeline or you didn't answer this. And one thing that I like to remind folks in a mediumship moment is, because I actually work with other mediums too. When my mom passed, I talked to someone, and one thing that they'll say is, I can't guarantee that that person will come through or the message that you want will come through. I'm going to do my best to bring what you need to hear. So one thing that I'll probably remind folks in the future as I kind of do this, because I learn as we go through this, is you're going to get the message through this whole reading that you need to hear, not that you want to hear. Because if I play to what you want to hear, then I'm not giving you what you need to hear. So that's all. And I really need to remind myself not to read chat when I'm talking because it does take me out sometimes. I keep an eye just to make sure that you can hear me audio and visually and that I'm not missing something. And on the weekend that like I had swapped a card or something like that, that's very helpful. So anyway, you're all good. Don't worry about it. And I'm sorry if I came off. There's a lot of fire and energy in this reading today. I'm actually, even though like I had to turn the heat off because I can feel it. So there's a lot coming through this month. I mean, we started with death and rebirth. So this is going to be an exciting month for you. Let's keep the focus on that. And let's focus now on the next portion of the reading. So we got through every major part. We're going to be taking a look at this meditation, sound bath, and final card here in just a moment. And as we do this, a reminder with the final card, if there's anything that I didn't have a chance to ask you, go ahead and meditate on it. And then I will pull a final card at the end. If you haven't already done so and you enjoyed this, please do me a favor, hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon so you don't miss out on anything in the future. You can also join me on social media, and you can optionally give back, okay? And I'm glad you guys like the response there. Sometimes I just want you to know that I do see what you're typing. So it's a good question. At the end of the day, I'm glad we had dealt with it. Tarot isn't just, it's not an absolute when it comes to timelines. So it's more about the how and it dictates the when. And it's more about the work and that opens up the opportunity. The readiness and the action is always your decision, right? I'm looking at a snapshot and I'm looking at timelines and opportunities, and you decide how far, how often, and when. So really it's a good lesson for me to just take the when out or talk about when in a more sort of abstract. I'm not going to give you days. I would give you more sort of like when this is done, when you feel that way. It's more that kind of when, because when can be a more attached to a feeling, to a place, to an understanding than a calendar or a watch. So there's different definitions of words. Sometimes we can get lost in those. All right, let's take a look at, I feel like metamorphosis is what we're going to look at. We got a moth right here. We have a butterfly in one of these cards too, and metamorphic energy coming through here. So for this meditation today, why don't we focus on that energy of cocooning and changing and stepping into something better, feeling comfortable and confident about the changes that are underway. So close your eyes, if you will, for a moment and just allow yourself to feel supported and safe in this moment in time. Letting go of any fears, anxieties, doubt, any persistent thoughts, anything that is in your energy except breath. Just allow breath to hold you, breath to move you. And just listen, and whatever comes through as I'm speaking, allow that to be your message. So I'd like you to imagine a color that brings you joy and happiness. And see that color starting to move through your heart, starting to move around your body, and creating this beautiful cocoon of protection. It can also be multiple colors or a rainbow if you just don't feel like focusing too much. You could imagine that all these colors, the different chakras, are winding together and making this beautiful rainbow of light around your body. And as you are contained within this beautiful cocoon of the color or colors of your choice, in this moment in time, you feel safe, you feel supported, you feel secure. You don't feel judged, you don't feel stressed. It feels like everything is aligning. Everything is where it needs to be. Imagining that the cocoon is gently placed in such a way that you are actually kind of standing up, so you can feel these beautiful wings starting to take shape and take form. And at a given moment when you're ready, you can gently push at the energy of the cocoon and allow yourself to step out. Before you do that, really feeling that you believe that you are ready, worthy, and willing to take that first step is going to be important. Believing in yourself, believing in your vision, and then just allowing your wings to push out through the cocoon and allowing you to be free to step forth in the next journey or step of your life. And just keep breathing and feeling that sense of opening and readiness and feeling those wings develop. I'm going to play a singing bowl for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to take a look at the final question for today. Take a moment, if you will, and imagine that you have a sense of grounding, but also at the same time the ability to take off at any given moment. The big sort of message when I looked at you this month was action. So the action and the when, which was a great question earlier, really comes from the heart, when you feel it, when you believe it. So do you believe it, and are you ready? When you say yes to those, you get your timing answer. So if you're ready and you're willing and you believe it, then it's time. But see yourself as protected and guided. We have angels, two angels here. Judgment and death both carry with it two of the most important angels in the major arcana. So you have signs and signals all around you. Gently open your eyes if you haven't already. Focus on the question you'd like me to answer. And as soon as I put this singing bowl away, I'll take a look at it. All right. Again, open your eyes if you haven't already, and let's focus on the final question for today. Seven of Swords in reverse. So if there was a yes/no question that you kind of put out there, should I, shouldn't I, or what do I need to know about this? The Seven of Swords is a card of basically getting to the bottom of something. So for many of us, there could be an issue going on where you're seeing something for the first time for what it truly is. So this could be that someone said that they were going to do something, they didn't come through. This could be a wake-up call for something that you've been meaning to do but haven't gotten a chance to do. So basically, you can be as accountable as possible and hold other people to be accountable as well. Once the accountability is in place, everything starts to then travel and work the way that it needs to. But the first and the most important thing is this happening the way that you intended or they intended? Is there something that you can do to shift that into a better trajectory? And that's the main thing. If there is somebody that comes through as not being exactly what they said or how you expected, this is a learning moment too, where you can sort of say like, where did we break down in communication, or just like, this isn't acceptable. Sometimes you just have to be bold and say, you let me down, this isn't acceptable. What are we going to do about it? I usually like to, some people will give me a hard time, but I always like to be diplomatic because I was a manager at one point, and I like to know why someone did it before I make a judgment on it. So I would just say, did I said this? Did you hear that? Help me understand why this happened the way that it did. Because I know we had a couple of conversations about this, but is there something going on with you, or was there something I said that didn't clarify it the way that it needed to be? That pretty much lets people know that you're disappointed and that they need to change it. And they may just come through and say, nah, it was me, I'm sorry. And that's good. You can move on from there, but there's a holding to accountability that could be happening here. A lot of times, and I really think this month, the 5 and the 7 is more internal. The 5 of Swords was saying, don't get defeated. And the 7 of Swords is the same thing here. Some things aren't worth the energy or the effort. And sometimes we just talk ourselves out of doing something we know we can or we should do before we've really kind of put in the work. So don't give up on yourself. I could pull those 2 cards together and say, don't give up on yourself, trust in your ability, move forward, be accountable, be bold, and really allow yourself to finish what you started. Okay? And that's the answer to that one. I think that's everything for today, folks. So again, thank you so much for all that have showed up and supported me today. Thank you for all the great questions and for everybody that's joined me also across social media. I'm going to take a couple minutes now to really say thank you to anybody that had a chance to give back today as well. And then we'll move from there and call it a day. All right. So if it's your first time here, welcome, by the way. It's good to have you here. Let's take a moment here to acknowledge the newest members, and then I'll say hi and thanks to any Super Chats and Super Stickers. So for memberships today, let's see, we have one new member, Valerie Leonard, brand new, just joined. Thank you so much. I think the rest of the people have rejoined. So Deshonda, Sharon, both have rejoined, and Haas as well. So thank you so much. Apologies for any mispronunciations there, but appreciate all of your presence here. For Super Stickers or Super Chat, and then I'll see if there were any member milestones as well. For today, let's see. Thank you so much to Olive. I appreciate the 50. Pima, and also Katie. I think it is Katie. Yeah, Katie Morris. Thank you so much. And I think we also had Jill Sheets celebrating 5 months. Thank you for that. And I think that's it. So thank you so much for a really magical reading today. Lots of energy came through, and I hope you got what you needed. I know that today it was a lot of fun for me to read it. I hope it was for all of you as well. All right, everyone, take care of yourself. I will be back on Sunday. I'll probably drop a very brief new moon reading as well, just so that we can tune into that energy. And you can catch me every single day for your 1 card, 1 minute reading as well. Today's is already live. All right, till I see you again, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, have some fun. Remember the dolphin card that came through multiple times today. Do something fun, do something that brings joy. All right, wishing you all the best now and always. Until I see you again, bye-bye.